So the first thing I'm going to do on the machine is to wind a bobbin. Now, I am a big pre-filled bobbin person. I need a t-shirt that says life is too short to wind bobbins. But sometimes you need to have matching colors, especially if you're doing machine embroidery and you have, say, a handkerchief or a towel, you'll want the same colored thread. Freestanding lace is another one. So I've got my spool of thread on here. Put it through the loop. And on here, it actually tells you 2, 3 to the bobbin. There. And we're going to clockwise go around there, take up any slack. Now the bobbins have a hole in them. So thread the thread through the hole. I've seen some people just wind it, hold it, and hope that it catches. This works every time. So I just hold mine up, snap it over. Now my LCD screen is going to ask me, I'm winding a bobbin, do I want to start? So you can go ahead holding your thread up, and I let it go a bit. And you can cut it. There's an actual cutter right underneath here. You can cut it and continue on. Now my option on this machine is to fill it. I'm just going to stop there. Take my bobbin off. Now I am ready to thread my machine. So, number 1, we're going to go up and around here, through there. So 1, 2, down, around, back up. This is number 4. Now you need it to get it around that silver piece. That's your take-up lever. So if you go this way, it goes around, down, and then I'll thread the needle in a second. So if we're here, we go to number 6. Take up any slack. Go around here. And I hit the needle thread button. Works every time. Let's pull this out. Now you have the option of cutting off the thread. You have a cutter right here, right underneath. Some people will cut it, but what happens is that they pull it tight, and when they use the automatic needle threader, it'll either not thread it or it'll be too short. I just leave it the length, and then when I go, and then I can cut it when I thread it. Let's put our bobbin in. So just like the little picture here that we have, tells you that it should be in there counterclockwise. And I would actually just cut off this little piece of thread here. That was from my winding my bobbin. Put it in and around. And our little bobbin, it has a little cutter in there. So we're now ready to start sewing. I'll get my thread through there. Okay, so let's go up here, cut that. It's just my scissors. Okay. So, like all brothers, the J foot is the standard foot. And the J foot has this little black thing. This helps you go over thick seams, which I will show to you. And it's a quick change. So this little bar goes in right in here. Put the foot down. Snaps right in. Okay. I already have a video on the brother feet and how the shank works with this foot, so please take a look at that. So we are now ready to sew. So I'm going to just do a standard seam. So on the LCD screen, I have the first two are the left justified, but I like to have my needle centered, so I can either do the reinforcement stitch, this is number 3, or just a lock stitch 4. But in my options, I did not specify for this to happen, so I'm just going to sew standard. So let's take a look at some of the other things on this screen. Okay. So up here are the same icons that we had before. The first one here, it would actually show me what my stitch is going to be, but I haven't scanned it in. This is for the camera on here, and I will show you that in a second. Here's for my laser guides, which I will show you. So right now I'm on the utility stitch. I can go to the decorative stitches, which are wonderful for applique. I can even create my own stitches in this one. Let's go back to the utility stitch. So J foot, here's this stitch I picked. So say I picked this triple stitch. So the 5 is left justified, and that will be the stitch that's on there. Let's go to, that is a stretch stitch, and it actually went left justified stretch stitch. And you can scroll down and scroll up. So the utility ones are the stitches that are most frequently used. I can specify a reverse stitch here as well as on here. With the Luminaire and with some of the other higher end brother machines, you usually have 2 ways of doing something. So I can specify my reverse stitch here or there. Also, I can say when I come to the end, it will auto cut for me. Here's where my needle default. It means that when I stop, my needle will be down, and I can have the presser foot come down. So here's the width of my stitch. 1. Well, I'm doing the stretch stitch. So if I go back to my standard straight stitch, there is no width in that because it's a straight stitch. The length default is always 2.5. Now this left and right shift. In older sewing machines, if we needed to move our needle over a position, we could do the width and it would actually move the needle over. Quilters always talk about a scant 1/4 inch or stitching at 3/8. This is how you move the position. On this machine, we have the left-right shift. So I can either move it to the left or to the right. Tension, standard, 4. So if you have settings that you use all the time, say for piecing or for garment sewing, you can actually store them in memory. So you can put your stretch stitch, your standard woven cotton stitch in there, and your piecing one. That way you can just retrieve it and all your configuration comes up.